You're sitting at your desk and the number hits you again. $1 million. That's what you need to retire according to every financial advisor, every retirement calculator, every piece of advice floating through your feed. You're 38, you've saved $280,000, and the math says you need another $720,000 just to reach the baseline. Everyone talks about, so you calculate if markets return 7% annually, and you save aggressively, you'll hit that number in 10, maybe 12 years. If nothing breaks, you feel the weight of it not just in the math but in the compressed future you've designed. And then something happens. You start talking to someone who actually retired and they tell you they're not living on $1 million at all. They're living on about $3,000 a month. They seem fine, more than fine. That's when the real question breaks through the panic. What if everything you've been told about retirement math is solving the wrong problem? Hi, this is Mark. The $1 million number is real, but what it represents is the illusion. It's not actually about the portfolio. It's about monthly income. That's the framework everyone skips. When financial institutions say you need $1 million, they're using the 4% rule backwards. That rule says a $1 million portfolio generates $40,000 per year, which is $3,333 per month. But here's what's broken about that logic. Nobody starts with the lifestyle they want and then calculates the portfolio backwards. Instead, they hit a number $1 million. Sounds authoritative. So they chase it. Then they retire and realize they don't need that much income anyway, because they structured their life differently. The person actually living on $3,000 a month isn't failing. They're winning at a game nobody taught them to play. Let me be clear about what we're discussing here. We're not talking about poverty or sacrifice in the traditional sense. We're talking about reliability, which is fundamentally different from maximum income. A $3,000 monthly retirement isn't tight because you've calculated it wrong. It's tight because you haven't layered your income sources. This is where the architecture matters. Social Security alone claimed at full retirement age lands the average earner at around $1,900 per month. That's not a choice or an afterthought. That's a pension you've already paid for. It adjusts for inflation automatically. 5. It lasts your entire life no matter what happens to markets or the economy. Most people treat Social Security like a supplement, when in reality it's your foundation. The moment you understand that the moment you reframe Social Security as floor not ceiling, the math changes entirely. So you're already at $1,900. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from a baseline of guaranteed inflation-adjusted monthly income that's completely decoupled from your portfolio performance. Now the question shifts, where does the additional $1,100 come from? That's the variable you actually control. The psychology here is crucial because most people never separate these numbers. They lump Social Security and portfolio withdrawals into one bucket and call it retirement income. But they're not the same thing. One is guaranteed, one fluctuates. One you can control with your lifestyle. One you cannot. The moment you disaggregate them, panic starts to fade. Here's where part-time work enters the picture, but not the way you think. This isn't failure. This isn't not really retires. This is strategy. 15 hours per week of remote consulting, part-time freelance work, or seasonal employment generates roughly $1,200 to $1,600 per month, depending on your skills. You don't need to grind. You're maintaining engagement while producing income. That work stream is separate from your portfolio. It does not depend on market performance. It doesn't drain your saving. It's actually the most stable income source available to you because it's based on actual utility. You're solving a problem for someone. They pay you. For someone making $50 to $75 per hour, that calculation is straightforward. 10 to 12 hours per week year-round covers the remaining gap. Your portfolio doesn't touch it. Your Social Security don't touch it. They're independent systems. Now add a third layer. Rental income, or if you don't own property, bond interest or dividend income. A modest rental property purchased strategically years before retirement generates $500 to $800 per month in net cash flow. That's rent minus mortgage, taxes, insurance, and a reserve for maintenance. It's not passive in the sense of effort-free, but it's passive in the sense of system automated. Money shows up in your account monthly because tenants pay rent, no stock trades, no job, just cash flow. Stack these layers and the picture becomes concrete. Social Security $1,900, part-time work $1,300, rental income or bond yield $500. That's $3,700 per month, without touching your core investment portfolio. Your $280,000 portfolio, or whatever size it reaches, is now a true safety buffer, not your life support system. That's when retirement anxiety transforms. You're no longer calculating, can I sustain myself for 40 years on 4% of my portfolio? You're calculating something far more realistic. How stable are my 3 independent income streams? And what role does my portfolio actually play? The portfolio's role is insurance. It's your sequence of returns protection. Here's the brutal truth that nobody teaches. If you retire tomorrow at a market peak and the market drops 40% in month 2, you have a problem. But if your income comes from Social Security work and rent, that market crash is irrelevant to next month's grocery. You have a 2 to 3 year buffer in cash or bonds to weather volatility, and then your other income streams carry you forward. That's not hope, that's structure. That's the difference between a retirement plan and a retirement daydream. The real leverage point is geographic flexibility. Though, this is where most people miss the entire game. $3,000 per month is unbearable in San Francisco. It's tight in Austin. It's genuinely comfortable in Boise or Fargo, or parts of the Southeast. It's almost luxurious in Mexico City or Portugal, or much of Southeast Asia. Now you might say you don't want to move, and that's fine. That's a choice. But that choice has a cost. The person asking themselves whether they can retire on $3,000 per month in San Francisco has already lost. They haven't negotiated with geography. They've surrendered to it. Whereas the person who says I can do this work remotely now, which means I can do it from anywhere, has actually changed the game. That person can move before retirements, can test the location, can build a life there while still earning San Francisco-level income. Then at retirement, when they only need $3,000 monthly, they're already positioned somewhere that number makes sense. They didn't sacrifice, they sequenced. Let me ground this in an actual household. Suppose you're 38, married, 1 kid, combined household income around $160,000. You've saved $280,000 in retirement accounts. You own your home with a mortgage, but also have rental income from a property purchased 8 years ago. The breakdown: your spouse will receive approximately $2,100 per month in Social Security at full retirement age. You'll receive approximately $2,400. Combined, that's $4,500 monthly right there, locked in, inflation adjusted for life. Your rental property, after all expenses, generates $650 per month. Your spouse works part-time as a consultant, charging $60 per hour, averaging 12 hours per week, which is $3,120 monthly. You could leave your portfolio completely untouched and function at $8,270 per month. You likely don't need that much. You probably function on $5,000 to $6,000 monthly in retirement because you're not paying a mortgage anymore. Childcare costs have dropped, so you're actually building surplus instead of deficit. The portfolio at $280,000 is then pure optionality. Early travel, medical costs, accelerated home improvements, legacy for your kid. It's not your oxygen. It's your oxygen after you're already breathing. The illusion persists because financial companies benefit from your panic. When you believe you need $1 million, you're buying their products, managed accounts, advisory fees, active trading, planning sessions. When you understand that retirement income is a puzzle with multiple pieces, you buy far fewer of their products. You might buy one bond ladder to cover volatility. You might invest a portion in dividend stocks. But you're not paying someone 1% annually to manage $1 million because 1% of $280,000 is less profit for them. The entire framework, the $1 million target, the 4% rule, the retirement calculator that makes you feel behind is designed to keep you afraid and buying. You're no longer trapped by mathematics. Can you generate $1,000 per month from part-time work? If yes, the equation changes. Do you own property or have stable dividend income? That's another variable. Will you receive Social Security? They've often positioned themselves geographically, where their monthly spend aligns with their monthly income. And critically, they've accepted that retirement doesn't mean stopping work entirely. That message doesn't drive advisory fees, product sales, or subscription models. The $1 million target, conversely, keeps you in a perpetual state of not yet ready to retire, not yet secure, not yet allowed to stop working hard. It's not a conspiracy so much as a structural reality. The incentives in the financial industry reward keeping you afraid of your future. The remedy isn't to hate the system. It's to understand it, price it in, and build your actual plan based on actual cash flow instead of marketing-driven fear. The paradox that actually matters is this: you can earn less, work less, save less, and retire sooner if you're willing to earn income from multiple sources. That sentence contradicts everything you've been told about retirement accumulation. You've been told to maximize one number, your portfolio. The smarter play is to diversify your income sources and minimize your portfolio dependency. You're not sacrificing. You're not retiring poor. You're just not solving the wrong problem anymore. The $280,000 person with Social Security rental income and part-time work is actually more secure than the $500,000 person with zero other income and total portfolio dependency. The second person has more money. The first person has more freedom. One is a number, one is a life. The closing insight is this. The $1 million retirement exists as a useful anchor for financial planning education. But it shouldn't be your anchor. Your anchor should be your actual monthly need. Your actual expected Social Security benefit. Your actual capacity to generate side income. Once you build that framework, you can work backwards to the portfolio size you actually need, which is probably smaller than you think. You might need $150,000 to $300,000 depending on everything else. That's achievable, that's actionable, that's a retirement that's coming, not one that's perpetually 10 years away. The question isn't whether you can get to $1 million. The question is whether you want to spend your 30s and 40s chasing it, or whether you want to build a more complex, more resilient structure. The math says you can choose the second path. The people already living it confirm it works. If this breakdown feels uncomfortably specific, you already know which direction you need to move. The next step is writing down your actual numbers, what you expect Social Security to pay, what part-time work could generate, what rental or dividend income is realistic. That spreadsheet is worth more than a dozen advisory meetings because it's built on your variables, not industry defaults. Subscribe if you want the next framework that challenges another assumption you've been carrying. See you there.